everybody. This is Michele.
And this is the brunette Julie. How are you today, Michele?
I'm good.
Yeah, we're recording in our studio.
We are.
And
official.
It's official, although, okay, we're not really techie. And we had one of our kids coming to help us with all of the audio video, and he wrote actually a whole schematic for us, and we still can't figure it out.
But we will.
We will. So anyway, you're going to see us soon. But right now, we're just going to talk to you about some pretty cool shit.
Yeah.
So we are here today on a Sunday recording. And I'm just going to say the Hawks played because I'm wearing my Hawks shirt.
Yeah.
It was. We won in overtime.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
So football season is upon us. And along with that goes what? What do you think comes with football season?
Pumpkin spice latte.
There you go. Yeah. Fall weather.
Yeah.
What else?
You know, I saw on Instagram how you can make your own pumpkin spice creamer.
Really?
With sweetened condensed milk, pumpkin
puree,
like puree, and a little bit of vanilla. And I'm so going to try it because it looked very good.
I've never been a pumpkin spice latte girl.
Maybe you'll be a homemade pumpkin
I'm all
spice
about
latte girl.
Pumpkin chocolate chip walnut cookies.
Yeah, you get those from like Central Market every year.
It's a little bit of an addiction.
Yeah.
But anyway, I haven't even looked for them this year. I know
they're out there. I'm pretty
probably
sure.
There, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about today?
Well, this is an interesting topic. Can be interesting, I think. And it's all about opposites and mostly in relationships, how they attract.
But there are opposites in lots of other things too.
There are.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the polarity between them. You have to have one in order to have the other.
Yep.
But in regard to relationships, do you think opposites can attract?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think opposites attract a lot of the time.
There, in doing my research, I found that there is actually nothing scientific that says it is truly that way, but there's a lot of anecdotal information that's out there. And, you know, when you're looking through marriages or you're looking at the dating process, there are certainly things to kind of think about and look at because it's not just about that initial physical connection or attraction that you have with somebody. It's all that other deep-rooted stuff that makes a difference on how you communicate and what you do and if you spend time together and, you know, all that sort of thing. So that's definitely a question.
Well, I thought it was interesting because in researching, it was saying that opposites are less likely to attract worldwide. What I found interesting is that although research proves that opposites are less likely to attract, many couples worldwide are opposites.
Right. Do you feel like those are anomalies or that is a more consistent, regular thing?
I think the anomaly is if they stay together.
Okay.
If they're able to work through that and make it.
Mm-hmm. So, I know. Do you know people that are, or I mean, have you been in a relationship ever that was like you were?
I mean, my ex-husband and I were pretty opposite.
Yeah.
Really, he's Sagittarius. So he's like, wants to be the life of the party. He's very outspoken and outgoing, would talk to anybody and always wanting to be out there in the social scene. Me, on the other hand, I'm a little bit more reserved, quiet. These are just the outwardly noticeable things. More reserved, quiet, you know.
What's your sign? I feel like I'm at some sleazy bar. What's your sign?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
Okay.
So,
I don't know. We're going to have an episode on this
but
stuff.
Deadly. Those Taurus, it's the bull.
Don't fuck with her. Do not
that's
fuck with
right.
her.
Like I might be quiet, but I will be watching everything.
And you should see Mama when she gets mad. Oh.
But so yeah, my ex-husband and I, we were opposites, definitely in that way.
I think the opposite thing kind of brings a lot of interest, you know, to a relationship, or even, you know, when you're thinking about dating somebody, because this is kind of how I've looked at it. If you have the desire to be with somebody who's just like you, it seems like it would be kind of boring.
Boring and easy.
Well, it just kind of, I don't know, mundane. It might be a little mundane, but a lot of that has to do with, the personalities. And I think bigger and better, or more so, is the personalities along with the communication. Because, you can have people that are very much alike, and if they don't talk to each other, then it doesn't really matter. Whereas if you're opposites, you might have very different conflicting views. They could be religious views, they could be political views, all the things that are kind of, sticky topics. But it's about maybe respecting each other's views and maybe being able to agree to disagree on different things. But at the same time, I say that, and I'm looking at those topics that I'm referring to, and I don't think I could date somebody that voted for Trump. I couldn't, because to me, it's like this whole, maybe that's very narrow. I'm just trying to be honest about it.
Well, yeah.
But that's a really big thing.
I can see where that would come into play. Absolutely. I could see that. I can use the example of, I have one of my siblings, my brother, he was married to his wife, and him were very opposite in a lot of their political views and religious views, which really, there's a lot of things there.
That's a lot.
They were totally opposite, but they were so in love. It was kind of a love story. They dated in high school and then separated for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
They each were married and had their own families. And then her husband had passed and Dan had been divorced. And anyways, fate brought them back together, and they immediately got married, and it was oh my gosh, a true love story.
Right.
You just look at them and how much they loved and cared. You could just see the sincerity in it for each other and who they were as people.
Right.
And they respected each other's views. They just agreed to disagree. But their life together, you could tell, was just so fulfilled.
See, I think that would be wonderful. And
that's
perhaps
the anomaly that we were talking about.
Yeah. Because I do see where couples are together that are really opposite, and they end up not doing a lot of things together, especially after they've been maybe in the relationship for a while. They start leading really, really independent lives. And I'm not saying that you don't want to have independence and do your own thing and have your partner do their own thing. You want to be able to have outside interests, so you're not constantly always together, I would think. But it's when maybe the views aren't respected. Yeah. If you can't respect someone's take on something.
Well, I think you have to bring yourself back to what drew you to that person in the first place.
Right.
This is just me thinking out, obviously out loud, because we record this.
Right.
But, because the opposites attract thing, I think typically you are drawn to somebody when they have those qualities that you are lacking within yourself.
Yes.
Not that lack is a bad thing. I don't mean that in a bad way, but things that you don't have, like my ex-husband. So very outgoing. I was soft-spoken. That was attractive to me because he could do all those things that I always struggled with doing.
And you wouldn't have to do.
And I would, So,
so kind of compliments.
But then later, that was a problem.
Yeah.
That was a problem.
So it worked for a while.
It worked for a while.
Until the newness kind of wears off, or all of a sudden you're going, oh, maybe that's a little bit more than I bargained for, right?
Yeah. And I think too, back to what you were saying, it has to do with the compromise and the communication that you have among each other with regard to how those things and situations are going to be handled.
Well, I think with dating too, because I'm in the dating realm, right? So not really, I'm not really dating, but at the same time, I'm in the dating realm. And so sometimes you run across people that are just so different than you that it's kind of cool, because you get exposed to so many things that you never would have otherwise. Different types of music, or different types of sports, or, just how they live might be very different, or the things that are really important to them. So it's just something different than maybe what you grew up with or what you know. And I think that is something that can really add value to your life. But to your point, long term, I don't know. I don't really know a lot of people that I could think of as we were preparing for this that are opposites and actually are in long-standing relationships that seem healthy. And frankly, that's a whole nother topic, because long-standing relationships, a lot of them, the vast majority, I only know a few that are really super healthy. So
I feel like as I have matured and learned over the years, there are things that those are the kinds of things that you learn to be flexible with.
Right.
And you learn about flexibility, you learn about compromise. And it's not that I don't think it's that you're settling, but at this point in the game for us, I'm just talking about people our age, there's baggage that's coming in.
Hell yeah.
We've all got all these other things and dynamics, so when you bring that together, whatever the reasons are that you have attracted or become attracted to somebody, I think there's got to be that more open dialogue of communication, flexibility, understanding, respect, those kinds of things that will help assist in being able to maneuver or navigating through some of that.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
If you're really interested in that person, you might take those extra steps too, to be able to do that. I know one couple. This is my sister, actually, and my brother-in-law. Oh my God, they could not be more opposite. They are. I adore my brother-in-law, but oh my God, was he an acquired taste when I first met him? Because I'm like, oh my God, how does my sister, who's quiet and she's like the little churchgoer, she's the school teacher, she's the best, but I could not even imagine her being with this dude, right?
Yeah.
Because he was so obnoxious. But I think and now, like I said, acquired taste, they've been together 30 years and they are so cute. They're really cute. They do so much stuff together and they really adore each other and compliment each other. Now, Mark is going to listen to this and he's going to make some snarky comment, of course, about it. Like I remember one time, this is what I'm talking about when I say opposites attract. He has quite the sense of humor, very dry sense of humor. And he was at his 50th birthday, I think it was. And he said, and I was like, so what do you want for your birthday? And he was like, well, I'm going to trade Angie in for two 25-year-olds. Because Angie was 50, right? Two 25-year-olds. And I'm like, well, the 25-year-olds have to want you in order for that to happen. But my mom was appalled.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, he was just joking around. Angie just looks at him like, oh, brother, here he goes again, But that's his sense of humor. So and she doesn't have a sense of humor like that. I think he draws a lot of that stuff out of her.
Yeah.
So that, because she's pretty, I love you, Ange, but a tiny bit uptight. She has her little uptight moments. So I just think that he kind of softens that edge a little bit. And 30 years later, they're going strong. So it can happen.
Way to go, guys.
I know. Yeah. I know. That makes me proud. It makes me proud to see that with them. Yeah. But I think that when you get down to the core of it, it is, for me anyway, you could be as opposite as you want. There are definitely non-negotiables that people have if they are trying to make sure that they're in the right place with the right person. Do you have those non-negotiables?
I do have some non-negotiables.
I think out there in the world, it's called something specific.
The Frozen Five.
The Frozen Five. So
that's like you have those 5 things that are the most important to you in a relationship, and you are not willing to bend or break in regard to them. Okay. It's like, and I think to the communication with regard to the common ground that you're going to have with each other, that's really kind of the number one thing. Yeah. Communication. And then, the Frozen Five, that means like you don't budge.
Well, you're steadfast on those things. Yeah. And the Frozen Five is really like your core values. I think if you're just out there to have fun, if you're just out there to, do whatever. I can think of a couple people that I quote friends with or whatever, that are so beyond not anything I would ever be in a relationship with. Right. But I adore them because they're fun and nice people, but we do not have the same core values. Right. But I still love them. They're great, Yeah. But those aren't people that I would ever even remotely consider spending like an exorbitant amount of time with or being in a relationship with, because it's just not, I just don't think I would be happy, So what are your 5 Frozens?
My 5 Frozens, number 1 is trust.
Okay.
Number 2 is respect. 3 is somebody compassionate.
Okay.
4 is someone with moral values.
Okay.
And then 5 would be family. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the 5 things that I think. And when I say family, it's how they value their family and the things that go along with that.
Yeah. If they're there for them and that sort of thing. Yeah. It's funny because I was saying earlier before we started recording, wow, we had to kind of do this exercise together or separate, but for this purpose, right?
Yeah.
And the list is very long.
I was going to say it was kind of hard to narrow it down. There is a lot more than
so
5,
many things,
but when you come to the 5 non-negotiable frozen, I won't budge on those things. And
like patience is a really good one. I mean, patience is a big one, but it didn't make my top 5.
Does somebody have to be patient with me?
Oh, you're an angel. What are you talking about?
I'm sure there's things.
No, really.
Just ask Rick.
Okay, I know. But it was funny. So when we were preparing for this, I was saying, oh my God, Michele, our 5 non-negotiables are basically the same. If we were lesbians, we wouldn't even have to have, anybody else there. It'd be perfect.
Like when I was getting ready for the tailgating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wasn't ready and he was ready.
Yeah.
He's always very good he never really says anything if he's waiting, but he was
waiting,
he was having to be patient with me that morning. So that's what I mean. There are things sometimes. Yeah. And I recognize that.
I mean, that is such a small little thing. Who cares?
Yeah. Love you, babe.
Yeah. Love you, babe. Okay. So I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
And they're very similar. So, and of course I do slashes: honesty, trustworthiness.
Yeah. So she can fit 10 into 5.
Yeah. So I can fit 10. I know I started to put respectful / playful. Okay. They don't ever go together, but so anyway, so honest and trustworthy. I think honesty is the foundation of anything that you're going to be dealing with a person that you're going to spend time with, that they have a strong moral compass and that they use their moral compass, and talk about what's going on with them when they're having a struggle with it, that they're respectful. We were just talking about some issues not long ago where, we could see there were people who had relationships that, the husband was saying really awful things to them. And they probably are at that point where it happens often enough to where they just kind of blow it off. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I would ever allow anybody to talk to me that way. But I say that right now because I've never, ever been in that situation. Right. But respect is so key, that you are respectful to the person that you are with and that they have respect toward you.
Absolutely.
And they put you first like that. And that they are kind. And when I say kind, I mean, okay, this is me. Kind to animals says a lot about a person.
Yeah.
If they don't like animals or they're not nice to animals, then I just don't want to be around them, because it says a lot about their personality.
Yeah.
To me.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't mess with my pups, man.
Do spiders count? Because I've killed like 10 in the last 2 weeks.
Spiders don't count.
Okay, just making sure.
They do take care of the bugs, but you know what? They can do that outside.
Anyways.
I know. Anyway, but no, spiders don't count in my book anyway.
Sure. All right.
And that they have strong family relationships or feel very strongly about it. So if they have kids, that they're mindful of what's going on with their kids.
Yes.
If they have parents, they're in contact with them and, they're helping them with whatever is going on, so that they have a family and they're paying attention to what's going on with their family, because those core things are when you are going through shit in life, it's like your family is really important.
And that it matters. See, I'm just going to use that as an example because it's things like that. So that's one of your frozen 5. It's one of mine too, family. Recognizing those things, and that might be really attractive initially. I mean, it always will be, but I mean, you're like, wow, that's like really a family guy and this, that, and the other. And then if you're in a relationship with that person, recognizing that there will be times where that family may come before you. And you got to step back and recognize, I mean, these are one of the things that I love about this person.
Right.
And when you have this look in your eye.
You heard me take a deep breath, because it's like, I hear what you're saying completely. And I think that there are definitely going to be times, but it's like, hopefully there are not circumstances where there has to be a choice.
Oh, of course.
But there, I suppose there are times out there when there has to be a choice. What if you're hanging out with someone seriously and your kids don't like them? It's not to say, their kids don't make the decision on who this person is and who you're spending time with, but it sure makes your life a lot easier if everybody gets along, right?
Yeah.
And why don't they like them? Do they not like them because these frozen five, like maybe they're the ones that are thinking, well, he's a liar. He's not consistent. He doesn't follow through, or, whatever, things that you don't see, but someone else might see a little bit easier. And anyway, it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be times when your family, if you are close with them, they're going to have an opinion on things.
Sure.
They're not going to necessarily just let you go, hey, if you're happy, if they give a shit about what's going on with you, they will have an opinion. You might not like it, but that's kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, the frozen five, I think, is a really important way to go through life, whether you're dating or whether you're
that could be with anything. That could
friendships
be with
too.
Friendships, jobs, and the environment there, and the kind of people that you're, surrounding yourself with for most of your life, every day, all week.
I know. But you have to be around them almost more than you are around your family sometimes, right? Yeah, I agree. I think those are things definitely and everybody listening, you have your own frozen five. It might be similar to ours. It might be very different than ours, but really ask yourself, what are the things that are most important to you in a friendship or in a relationship or in a family relationship or whatever? Really, this is kind of related a lot to relationships. So your spidey senses are going to come out if you're around somebody who you realize does not exhibit the things that you really strive for in yourself. I mean, you really want to be with somebody who pushes you to be better.
And brings out the best in you.
Yeah. I think Eileen and I were talking about it. We called it a plus up.
Plus up?
Plus up. Because it's like, I want, to have somebody who is challenging me to be a better person, not someone who is bringing me down or putting me in positions where, I might be doing things I wouldn't normally do, or I don't know. I do think that
I was back to what you were saying. I was reading something in regard to if you're in a relationship or dating somebody opposite. It was saying that compatibility matters more than the specific similarities and differences between you and that person.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting. So finding somebody that complements you rather than opposes you, you can build some of those five things, or you can build, respect and trust and understanding in a shared growth.
Right. But what if you're already married? What if you're married to somebody who is the opposite of you and you're hearing this and you're going, holy shit, I never really thought about we don't ever do anything together. We're not, how do we get past this? I mean, it might not be
communication.
Is that a song?
It is now.
Oh, I thought you were going to RESPECT.
Yeah,
ow. That's one of our frozen five.
Yeah. But it could be that you're in some kind of relationship already. And, asking yourself some of these questions might give you, cause to ponder some of these things and go, But I think, like I said, the communication, we hear that all the time.
Yeah.
The communication is key. It really is.
It is to anything.
Yeah.
And not on a text.
And yes, that is not communication.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not.
It is, but it's not. It's dangerous communication. I think another way to kind of get past the obvious opposites that you might have with a person that you really care about is, like you said, being able to communicate, but just sharing more, be more vulnerable, sharing things that you wouldn't normally share because that person's there and they're going to support you and you're trusting them, all those sorts of things. So I really do think that you're right. The compatibility is more critical than having similar interests necessarily.
Right.
But I think it would be nice to have similar interests.
Well, sure.
But at the same time, let me give you an example. There was this one guy I had dated a couple of years ago, and super nice guy, but super into two things that I am not into at all. And one of them was fishing, which, he was really into fishing. Now, I would go fishing, if it was warm out and I didn't have to get wet, that kind of thing. And then the other one was skiing or snowboarding or whatever. And I don't do snowboarding. I tried skiing. I tried snowboarding, epic failure. That's all that matters. But you know what? He could go do all those things and I didn't need to go. But then it gets to the point where it's like every single weekend, you're either fishing or you're going to the mountains. Yeah. And so there's no, it's like, this isn't going to work.
Isn't there like a chalet bunny kind of a thing?
Yeah, but not every flipping weekend.
I mean, if you skiing every weekend.
I'm all about the chalet bunny thing, the cocoa in the lodge. But no, well, I was just like, I wasn't willing to really make that effort.
Some of the things long term, I'm thinking of my sister and her husband is an avid hunter.
Oh, God.
Like every fall, I'm sure he's he's got the beard going. I mean, he's hardcore and he's
got all the gear and orange and everything.
Everything. Like he goes into the deep depth, whatever mountains of Montana and has satellite communication because where they're at, they have no text, there's absolutely no cell service. They, sleep in a tent in freezing temperatures. And that
sounds so fun.
They do every year.
And he's probably
they do these
forward to
major, oh my gosh, yes. And his son goes, so it's a thing.
Yeah.
And every year she,
that's her free time.
He goes and because he's passionate, he loves doing it. She would never stop him from doing it.
No.
And that's just that's where that flexibility, I suppose, comes into play.
That's so funny that you should mention that because, my ex is from Wisconsin and the family has this cabin in northern Wisconsin, 88 acres. How do I remember this? I don't know, but they have a hunting lodge there and it is a thing back there.
Yeah.
And so my ex and his brother go every single year. They're gone from here for Thanksgiving. They don't go, and he would miss my youngest birthday because of when they would go and that sort of thing. But it was every single year that there were probably a couple years in there that they didn't.
Yeah.
But that was not, they didn't deviate from that at all. It didn't matter who you are, what you do. It's between that and the Green Bay Packers. It was, that was God's country and God's game, kind of a thing. So I really didn't care. I mean, have fun. Right. I'm not eating venison, whatever. But every single year to be gone on Thanksgiving, I thought was kind of lame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was definitely an opposite thing.
So I have to ask, is that something that was happening when you met him? Was that part? See,
yes.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like that going into it. I'm curious, like what you thought about it then.
Well, I don't remember. I don't really remember thinking much of it because I think it kind of evolved over the years into be a much bigger thing because, more people come and it's all men and, they don't
it's a big bro
shower
fest.
And it's a total bro fest. And, I don't think any girls have ever gone there. I know when he was going to propose, apparently I found out he was going to take me to the land. Like, do you know me? Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah. But it was in the middle of a snowstorm. And so his dad was probably not a good idea. Yeah. You'll get stuck in the snow kind of a thing. So I've never been there. Yeah. And I think the sister's been there one time. So anyway, going back to the whole hunting thing, that's like a religion in some areas. Yeah. And, more power to you. But I would go scrapbooking or do something like that. And he was just like, yeah, have at it.
There's that. And, being mature in the things that we've learned along the way, like I mentioned before, and you're talking about fishing and snowboarding, that wouldn't be
long term.
You recognize that, up front. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm a nice guy, but just not, I was just like, that's just not my jam. And so there's no time for anything else because those are both sports that require a lot of time.
Fishing. I wouldn't mind. I grew up fishing, so I wouldn't mind that, but I'd probably be so annoying trying to do it. That would be the problem
maybe
for
one
me.
time, but it's freaking cold in the middle.
It is fun when you catch
Alaska
fish.
waters or what. I'm just like, that's just like the least of what I would ever want to do. But hey, if you want to do it and smash the fish's head and clean them and do all that shit, knock yourself out.
I have done all that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I have not. I'm such a city girl. I have not. So some of the pros you think maybe of...
For opposites.
For opposites.
In that attraction.
Yeah.
Some of the pros are going to be balancing each other out. I think that's one of the more prominent ones that you hear about, how they're so great together and they balance each other out.
Well, kind of like you were talking about, before with Rick, it's your ex. He definitely was a lot more outgoing than you were.
Definitely.
And there were times when that was great, but other times where it was not so great. So you can see how it kind of evolved. I think one important thing I would mention is that you can really learn stuff from each other because you're getting exposed to things you might not get exposed to otherwise. So, maybe your person's really big into poker or something.
Yeah.
So you might play the games you'd never played, or they like to go to
I think I would just be the drink getter. Would you like another drink? Would you like I was playing poker.
Would you bend sideways?
Yeah, maybe.
With her little maid outfit on.
Yeah.
Bend and snap, Michele. But you can definitely learn from others, and showing interest in what they want, what they do that's not your jam, I think is kind of cool too. And especially, them showing interest too in what you like to do or supporting you in what you like to do.
Well, we've talked about that before, about doing something not because you want to do it, but because it's something that they enjoy. So, and you never know, learn something.
As long as it's really not all one-sided.
Find that you like it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like the music is a great example. I love, a lot of different genres of music, but I want the ability to listen to all the different genres of music and not one specific genre of music. So, I can think of times getting in the car and it's all KZOK, and I just was like, back in black. But as long as it was AC/DC, I was cool. But other than that, no, it just was not my, I know all those songs. Right. But anyway, so it was always like, my station, my, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so it'd be just nice to have someone who is sharing their, things with you, but not necessarily that you're required. That's all. Like you don't.
That's different.
Yeah. Don't lose yourself.
That's a good way of putting it.
And in that regard, I would think that, if you're around somebody who has different interests than you, a different friend group, maybe, they have a different, like they went to school in a different place or whatever the case may be, it might not be boring. It might be, not stagnant.
Right. Another pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a definite pro, I think, because you're getting exposed to things that you wouldn't necessarily get exposed to.
Right.
So
I think with that and some of the stuff even that we've brought up in regard to some of the pros, it's definitely some of those things are going to challenge you and what some of your own assumptions might be or beliefs.
Right.
Like, you just assume things about certain ideas or activities when really you haven't even tried them.
Right.
So that's where the challenge might come in, to try something new.
Like food.
Like food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Like if you have a really creative palate and you want to eat some nasty looking like slippery food, and I'd try it. I would probably try it.
I probably have had more sushi since I've been with Rick.
Really?
Him and his girls.
You mean more than a California roll?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they eat sushi. There have been some good sushi spots that we've been to, and I really quite enjoy it. And I didn't really used to, because I kept it very close. I was very close-minded about it and didn't really expand on it.
Your food palette was
He had to
vanilla.
show me how to use the chopsticks. I mean, we did have a little sesh there one time when we were eating it. But yeah, I really quite enjoy it. So things like that
you never probably would have done if you hadn't been exposed to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that having that diversity in kind of your upbringing and your beliefs or your whatever is definitely could keep kind of the passion alive and keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And that is, in my opinion, pretty key, to having a long-standing, stable relationship.
Yeah.
Clearly, I have issues with that. I'm just joking. I'm just not really. Anyway, so what would some of the cons be?
I think probably one of the most recognizable ones would be it's going to take more effort.
Yeah.
And communication to navigate some of the things. Whereas if you are on the same page with everything, there's really no question.
Right.
It's not going to take that time and effort.
That is very true.
Yeah. So I think that probably would be one of the more obvious ones.
Well, another one I can think of is, conflict. There might actually be conflict more readily because,
for sure.
Yeah, because you have different views, and how you handle the conflict last time it was dealt with is going to be indicative of what happens going forward. So it's not to say that everything is all sunshine and roses, because we know that's not true, but it's being able to kind of have some sort of a base to work from. So experiences can create conflict, But again, going back to the communication, that's going to be really critical, how you communicate and whether you're successful or not getting through it. So,
and I would imagine too that it is going to be challenging to find common ground in the long run. Kind of like, like I said, you knew about the hunting thing going into it, but in the long run, it wasn't so great all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Which are you talking about, the dating or the?
I'm just talking about the hunting with your ex.
Oh, the ex one.
You knew that going into when you started to get to know him, but in the long run, it was
something I had to accept.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't going to change. And honestly, it was such a part of him that it would be sad to try to get him to change.
Well, just like you were saying in regard to ourselves, don't lose yourself.
Exactly.
In that. So
it's something that's important.
Respect. Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, you have things that are important to you and you want to be able to do those things, whatever they are. And that comes with that independence and that trust, Going back to this though, I would say compatibility, like we talked about before, is probably one of the most important factors. And that frozen 5 is huge.
Yeah.
Because if you don't pay attention to that, you're going to end up with a lot of heartache in the long run, I think, because you're not looking below the surface. So sticking to those is important.
So there is, opposition in all things, as we know. And I think when you're attracted to that, you just think about it in school and that, that school smart A student girl who is, the book smart, quiet individual is attracted to the bad boy football player who's kind of a hoe.
They're more of a challenge.
Yeah.
But they definitely don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
Or, long term.
Yeah. There are those attractions that I'm sure seem so exciting and fun in the beginning, and then
they're kind of a nightmare.
A nightmare, and pretty taxing on one's self-worth and, just all those things that can come out of that depending on the situation. But I think definitely opposites can make it. There are anomalies out there. And
so it's not, so what we're saying is that opposites, anecdotally or not, I think you're right. Opposites do attract.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to see individuals who are different than you, and who possess different different thought process or different experiences, because you are exposed to more. I absolutely think that's wonderful. And being with somebody who has exactly the same upbringing, exactly the same thought process, exactly the same everything, just seems like you're marrying yourself, or you're hanging out with yourself.
Well, it'd probably be kind of a Stepford relationship.
Yeah.
Within that, just
you mean where the woman submits? It's a joke.
No, not specifically that, but when you're both it's like so the same, and it's just like the same
boring.
Every day, in and out, it's the same. Like no challenging, no differences to come together on. Because you grow from that stuff.
Yeah.
You grow from that.
It's good to have a little spiciness.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Spiciness is good.
Yeah.
Coming from someone who doesn't like spicy food, that's a very, very important comment to make, because spicy relationships, I think they're just kind of gives you something to look forward to. Sugar and spice, everything nice. Fire and ice, sweet and salty, hot and cold, thick or thin. Oh my goodness. Lots and lots of opposites.
That's where in the opposites. And I think there has to be that opposition in all things, for us to be able to appreciate what the other, what the other end of that is.
Or for the other end to exist, there has to be an opposite. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So people out there, it's like, think about what your frozen 5 are. And if you're attracted to someone who is opposite of you, that's great. I mean, it might be something that really works well for you, but you kind of got to look at that core 5 things in order to determine whether they're, someone with staying power for you. And if you're already in a position where you're with somebody who has an opposite personality, opposite view on everything, it's like, this might be a great opportunity to evaluate how you can make it better.
Yeah.
Hashtag
never settle.
Hashtag girlfriend, never settle. That's right.
Well, I enjoyed this.
I did too.
I learned some things. It made me think about some things that I don't necessarily think about all the time.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Okay, all you opposites out there.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Rick what his frozen 5 are. See what we get there.
I think they'll be very similar.
I think actually saying that's a good thing to do with your partner if you have one. What that is, or even if you're dating, would you be comfortable?
I think it would depend how far into a relationship. Yeah. I mean, it's like, no, I don't want to get that deep.
Well, no, not right off the top.
Yeah. But I do think that is very important, especially in the dating world, especially at the age, that we are at. You're dealing, like I think you mentioned before, with a lot of baggage. Yeah. And everybody has it. We all have it. If you don't have it, there's something wrong. Yeah. Honestly, that means you've been living in a hole. So it's how you deal with the trials and tribulations in life and how you treat people. Yeah, when you're going through those. Just check some of those bags. Just check them. Pick it up later. You don't always have to drag it around. Let it get lost at the airport.
Yeah.
On your way to Tahiti. You can tell I'm already thinking about warm weather.
Vacation.
Yeah. I know. It's like, we're just going into fall. So anyway, well, until next time, where can people find us?
They can find us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, all the socials. If you have anything to share or any ideas you would like us to dive into, hit us up on a blonde, brunette, and a mic at gmail.com.
Yeah, and we would love to get your feedback. If you have a top 5, what it is, and you can share it with us through Gmail or even the Instagram.
Do a little follow up and see how many of the 5s we get from people are a common thread. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.